Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start today's video with a story about a classic encounter with a Karen at McDonald's, a heartwarming act of kindness, and how a simple gesture can help someone in need spiraled into a dramatic showdown. But before we begin, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like if you enjoy the content, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a juicy story. Karen tries to claim money that isn't hers. So today's payday. I work 2 jobs, tutor for a private company and substitute at a public school. So after school today, I, 28-year-old female, decided to treat myself to an ice cream cone from my local McDonald's. Their ice cream's pretty great, and as a bonus, it's cheap and the perfect treat for an 80-degree day. So I pull up, go inside, and stand in line. There's a woman in front of me with 3 children under the age of 10. I know this because the eldest told the cashier that it's his birthday and that he's 9. Awesome. Mom's getting them all those meals for $3.50, small fries and either Nugs, burger, or McChicken, and she also asks if they can have at least 1 toy even if she isn't getting a Happy Meal. Cashier sadly says no because company policy, blah, blah, blah. Okay, Mom says, kids don't argue, they're just happy to be there, and this McDonald's has a play place, so they're eyeing the jungle gym. Anyway, Mom buys 3 of those little meals and 3 drinks. She buys nothing for herself, and I'm wondering why until her card gets declined. This purchase is definitely under $15, so she's bummed. I'm bummed. Kids are bummed. She changes 3 small drinks to 1 large one. All sizes are $1 each. Nope, decline. She starts to pull crumpled bills from her pockets, some change falls, but I can see she doesn't have enough. Like I said earlier, it's payday, and it's her kid's birthday, and I'm only getting ice cream. I pull a 20 from my pocket and lean down like I've just picked it up. I sidle up next to her and say, "Excuse me, miss, I think you dropped this." She looks at me all confused because she knows she didn't have a 20 in her pocket. She starts to shake her head, but I insist. "I just saw you drop this," I tell her, nodding and placing it into her hand just a minute ago. I'm making prolonged eye contact with this woman, and finally she looks like she gets it. But before she can agree and take the money, another woman taps me on the shoulder and says, "I believe that's mine." Enter Karen. I turn to see this lady who's very thin and wearing some kind of designer brand I'm not familiar with. She has a small child in a death grip because he's trying with all his tiny might to make a break for the play area, but she won't let him. She doesn't have the haircut, but her hair color doesn't look very natural, and it's in one of those super tight ponytails that looks like it's actively giving her a headache. I say, "Excuse me?" And she's just like, "Yeah, I dropped the 20 a minute ago. I think that's it." And I say, "Nope, sorry, I saw her," motioning to mom of 3, "drop it." No, I don't think so. I think that's mine." She uses her free hand and attempts to snatch it, but I give it to the cashier, who has that expression that she doesn't get paid enough for this kind of bullcrap, but she places it on her register safely away from Karen. "What the F did you do that for?" "Please watch your language, ma'am," I say. "There are small children here." I motion to nice mom's 3 kids who are all just staring at Karen with confused expressions, then to her spawn who's actively trying to work his way out of his t-shirt so as to free himself from his mother's clutches. "F you, give me my money." "It's not your money, it's hers. Yours is probably on the ground somewhere still. Go find it, please, and leave us alone." "Not until you give me my..." Spawn, his name's probably Jackson or something ending in Aiden, frees himself from his shirt with a slight tearing sound, which is perfect for the way he tears off, shirtless, towards the jungle gym like he's frickin' Sonic. Karen shrieks and runs after him, completely forgetting the $20. Cashier doesn't even blink an eye. "So that'll be cash then?" she asks, holding up the 20. Nice mom looks worried, staring after Karen and her kid, who's climbed to the top of the jungle gym and is making faces at her from a plastic bubble thing. To be honest, I kinda love that kid. "It's not hers," I whisper to her, reassuring her. She nods and tells the cashier yes. So the cashier rings up their purchase and hands her the change. She tries to give it to me, but I tell her to buy herself some food, but she pockets it instead. When I order my ice cream cone, I use my points to get a Happy Meal with the nuggets and a toy, and I walk by the nice mom's table, hand her the meal without a word, and leave before she can refuse it. Am I an AH for that? I don't know. She needs to eat too. I could hear Karen still yelling at her son until the door shut behind me. I really hope she didn't get Nice Mom any grief before she was able to leave herself. On a separate note, you're damn lucky to have a McDonald's with a working ice cream machine where you live. And our second story. Accidental forgery genius. My handwriting confounds forensic expert. This occurred back in the 70s, and before I start, I want to emphasize I was never stupid enough and will never be stupid enough to use my hidden talent. Background. I was taking an elective criminal forensic, CSI stuff, night course at a local community college. The best part about taking this course was the instructor, which meant an in-depth tour at the U.S. Criminal Forensic Lab, where he worked as the question document examiner, i.e. handwriting analysis, signature matching, etc. Also, since computers were barely introduced into forensics at this time, all handwriting analysis, matching was done by hand, and this instructor was one of, if not the best in the world. It was a great course studying many facets of criminal forensics and taking the amazing lab tour. As the course was coming to the end, the question document facet approached the instructor's specialty. At the end of the class, just before it started, the instructor wrote a paragraph on the board, and we each had 2 sheets of blank, lined paper. He told us to write the paragraph, only the paragraph, any way we want on one sheet, and then again on the other sheet, trying to disguise our handwriting. You're committing forgery. The instructor left, and we all started writing. When done, one student, not me, collected all the sheets, mixed them up, and took them to the instructor. We all looked forward to the next class where the instructor would present matched sheets, then explain to us why our forgery attempts failed and how he would testify in court to prove it. Because I wanted to go home, I made it easy on myself. For my forgery attempt, I wrote the paragraph in print on one sheet and in cursive on the other sheet, even though we were told that it's a failed way to disguise handwriting. Now, for a little background on my handwriting, it's bad. I mean really bad. And I have held pencils and pens wrong since I learned to write. The easiest way to explain it is I write with a closed fist, right-handed. In elementary school, my parents hired a tutor to try to teach me to write again from scratch, including putting plastic things on pencils to make my preferred grip uncomfortable. It failed miserably. In high school, I had a teacher tell me I would amount to nothing because I had issues writing legibly. Basically, my print is somewhat legible and my cursive, good luck. But that should make no difference. Now back to the story. At the beginning of the next class, the normal happy-go-lucky instructor looked very upset as he walked in. The first words out of his mouth was if anyone played a practical joke on him, he did not appreciate it. The whole class, 15 students, looked at each other totally confused. The instructor then again tried to get someone to confess, but we all continued to look confused. The instructor calmed down a little and decided to continue with the class as he would normally have done so. From the stack of papers he was handed at the end of the last class, he picked out the top 2 sheets and said in court speak how he deduced that the same person wrote both paragraphs. Then a student would admit it was their failed forgery attempt, and the instructor would continue with the next 2 sheets. When there were just 2 sheets left, the instructor lifted them up for all the class to see. Looking straight at me, he said he could not testify in court, saying the same person wrote both paragraphs. With a scared look on my face, I said both sheets were mine, and I wrote both paragraphs. So in front of the instructor and whole class, I again wrote the paragraph, once in print and once in cursive. The instructor walked away, shaking his head and mumbling something like he'd never seen this before. After that, the instructor looked at and spoke to me differently as my classmates created some obvious nicknames for me, e.g. the Forger. I got an A in the class and was very happy when it ended. Trying to anticipate some questions. Exactly why I could do this, I have no idea. I figured if I was in school today, I'd be diagnosed with some minor learning disability. No, I cannot demonstrate this now. I've not written in cursive in 40 plus years and too old to relearn. Cursive, think loopy letters all connected together, which thankfully is being forgotten. In the 80s, I found a career that matched my handwriting skills. Computers. If it makes you feel better, handwriting analysis is mostly bunk, and I'd bet your instructor did half that matching based on pen type and color. And our last story. HOA illegally built a parking lot on my land. It went like this. I always dreamed of a house where I could isolate myself from the noisy world. I spent a lot of time in a megacity and grew to detest it with all my soul. So when buying, I paid special attention to ensure the property wasn't part of any homeowners association, HOA, or under any property managers. The place was perfect. A cozy house with a large plot of land where I could grow flowers and vegetables. Everything was perfect. Until that day. Dun dun dun. I returned from a 2-week vacation to find that part of my land had been turned into a 5-car parking lot. It turns out the local HOA took advantage of my absence to build it right on part of my property. I was furious and immediately blocked the entrance, creating an improvised barricade from my old things and planks. The next day, a woman approached me, introducing herself as a member of the HOA, whom I subsequently dubbed Parking Karen. She began demanding to open access to the parking lot, her annoying voice still ringing in my ears when I remember it. "Sir, you must immediately clear the entrance. This is our land, and you're violating the rights of our complex's residents," she said displeasedly. "Actually, it's my land, and I have every right to do with it as I please. Show me documents that prove your words," I replied, trying to remain calm. Finding nothing to say, she called 911 and reported an illegal blocking of a public parking lot. When the police arrived, Karen made a scene. "This man is threatening our community. He illegally occupies our land." The police listened to both sides carefully. When it became clear that the HOA had no grounds to claim my land and Karen continued to behave aggressively, they decided to arrest her for disturbing public order, which led to an even bigger scandal from her. "My husband's a millionaire. You both will lose your jobs by evening." As it turned out, Karen had been divorced for a long time. After this incident, I went to court to officially confirm my rights to the land and claim damages from the HOA for illegal construction and destroyed plants. The process was lengthy and exhausting. I provided all necessary documents proving my ownership of the land, as well as an assessment of the damage inflicted on my property. The judge, having carefully listened to both sides and reviewed the documents, ruled in my favor. The HOA was ordered to pay for the restoration of the land to its original state and compensate me for my time and destroyed plants. The consequences of this case turned out to be much broader than I expected. Many residents of the complex, learning about the true situation, expressed their support for me and even started questioning the HOA's leadership. In the end, I not only reclaimed my land, but also managed to change the community's opinion on how such issues should be resolved. And of course, I received a substantial compensation, part of which I spent on restoring my garden and the rest on charity for the community. Thus ended my story of fighting for justice, personal space, and a bit about how sometimes restoring order requires confronting bureaucracy and parking Karens face to face. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.